Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Suzanna here today to share with you this layout created with the November cherry box. So I did an unboxing a couple of days ago, and one of the, the mixed media portion of the box are these shrink plastics. So you get three colors. You get copper, gold, and silver. I am using the die that comes with the box. It is a Sizzix die, a Thinlits, and I'm going to create what I have called in my blog post the world's smallest acorns. This is the first thing that I'm making with these shrink plastics, and I knew they were going to shrink, right? The title itself, shrink plastic. I did not realize the magnitude with which it was going to shrink. So I am cutting out the body of the acorn in gold, and then the copper top. And then there is a little piece that goes on the top for the top of the acorn so that you also have that brown. It's not one piece. You can see I've cut them out there, but I don't realize how much this is going to shrink, and there's no way that's going to be even worth putting on the top of the acorn. So you'll see how I omit that. So I'm going to ink up the edges of both the acorn top as well as the acorn body. I am also going to draw with pen. You can draw on these shrink plastics. So I've got a brown pen, and I'm going to put the same indentation marks that are in the metal die on the top of this with a marker, because I knew you weren't going to be able to see it once it had shrunk. So I've preheated my heat gun, and look at how small that is. That's literally the smallest acorn in the world. And because they're so small, I am holding them down with my metal tweezers. Fortunately, the tweezers don't heat, but you can see that things are blowing away as I'm trying to hold it, but not literally push the tweezers into it. Because you'll see with the tag that I'm about to create as well that it can dent into and literally stay stuck into the shrink plastic. So when you do this, make sure you don't push whatever it is that you're anchoring this down with onto. Don't push down too hard into it. Also learn from this mistake that I'm going to do here that liquid adhesive, or what I'm using, so Ultrabond from ThermoWeb, does not hold this down. Ultimately, I end up having to use some stickers, adhesive dots. So these are called Zots Bling, again from ThermoWeb. I'm using that to anchor the layers. Know also that these are probably about the same size as a thicker, so there's a lot of depth to the top of this acorn, and you do have to layer them after you have heated them. You cannot layer them together. I did try that. But what you can do is there are rub-ons that come with this kit, and so what I'm about to do is, and I'll skip part of this because you don't need to see me cut out the tag. It is a Tim Holtz tag, in case you're wondering, one that I got from a cherry on top, and I use fairly regularly if you follow my work. Also know that I am working on a glass mat so that I'm not heating up the paper that I usually create upon. And this is also easy cleanup too with the ink that ends up getting on there. So I'm about to create a tag, and I rub on the rub-on, and that shrinks with the tag, which is pretty cool. I do, however, make the mistake that I told you not to do, and I'm pushing a lot harder with my tweezers into the shrink plastic, and so it kind of doesn't let it curl up and then uncurl to the size that it's supposed to, because my tweezers are stuck in it. You'll see what I mean coming up. So I've just prepped this to put on the page and used the Zots Blings to stick them on the back to turn it into a bit of a sticker. So here I am rubbing the rub-on onto the shrink plastic, so you can see the die has already put a hole in it. So if you make a tag and you have a tag, or you can just cut that really, make sure you punch a hole into it, because you cannot put a hole in after the fact. So again, there's some indentations in this, and I like how you can see that the marker just gives an outline, a nice outline of the tag. So here I go heating it up. It's going nicely. So it's going to curl, and then it will inherently uncurl itself if you leave the thing on there long enough. But see how, oops, it wrapped around my tweezers because I was pushing a little bit too hard. So then I reheat it to try and get dent out of it, which works perfectly, except that once again, I kind of have to flatten it down a little bit with the tweezers, and it's hot, so be careful. And so there is the rub-on that has shrunk down, but created a pretty cool tag for my layout. So that is the little tutorial on how to use the shrink plastics. And now I am going to create the actual layout and incorporate those embellishments that I created with the goodies in the kit, or box, I should say. I do that every month, don't I, that I create with this. So those of you who know my work know that I really like border strips. I use these a lot. They're kind of a mainstay in my go-to things. I have 4 photos here. So I have this 4x6, which isn't really a 4x6. It's whatever 3x4 blown up to 4x5 3/4 or something like that is. And then 4 2-inch squares. And my original plan was that they were all going to be on the left-hand side of the page, and then I was just going to have the tag on the right side of the page. So tags, also another mainstay in my go-tos. I want that one with the fall leaves on there. Of course I do. So the one in the middle of the piece of 12x12 paper. So I am going to just trim down. I like the border around it. I just want it to be a little bit thinner than it is. And then I do want the hole to put some twine or something into it. I do end up putting that in off camera, but I do end up using a maroon to go with the maroon in the leaves, to just so that they aren't there by themselves, and there's actually sort of a third element, pardon me, that is going to wrap that all together. So now I've got that left-hand side, and now I want to work on some more squares for the right-hand side. And so the idea was that I was just going to have squares kind of cascading down underneath that larger photo, and then incorporate some of the leaves and put a squirrel from the die cuts in, or the dies, the metal dies in there. But I don't like the photo mashed up all the way up to the top. I feel like I need a little bit of a header there. So I really like that the leaves pattern paper that is there. And I, despite having 2 sheets of this, because you get the paper pad in the box, I don't want to use the ones that I know that I might use later on, because this is a very, very generous box. This is a full 12x12 paper pad, so you get 2 of each of those designs. And so I know I want to save some things, and so I know I'll use those pocket cards that aren't really pocket cards, but they're 3x4 for other projects. So I'm cutting out squares of various sizes to have them cascade down the box, down the right-hand side. But in the meantime, I need to anchor these things because I know that they are going there, and I need them to stop moving around on the left-hand side of my page as I shuffle all of the things on the right-hand side of my page there. So lovely gold foil in this paper, and I like the way that the colors on the left-hand side tie into the colors on the right-hand side of the page. That black strip that is on the outermost left edge really anchors the page nicely, as well as Jasmine. This is one of our 2 cats. She is a tabby, and there's a lot of black in these photos because of the black in her tabby. And so I like the way that the black on the left complements the black that is found in the photos there. With this box, you also get a box of Prima washi. And so I am incorporating a little bit of that washi, not a lot, into this. That says blessed with some butterflies on either side on that bottom left there. And then you can see I used the black and silver sparkly up the top there. And I just like the way that the sparkly coordinates with the gold foil that are in the papers. And actually, I think that gold foil on the left-hand side is the only gold foil pattern paper that I end up using here. So I have the 4 photos, and I like them all there, but it's just very, very boxy, and it's very hard the way that it is to make it cascade nicely down the side of the page. So I spy this small tag And I like the way that it pulls the yellow that's in the left-hand side of the page over to the right-hand side, because there really isn't a lot of yellow. And so that adds just a little splash of yellow over there. And then it allows me to get a better cascade of my photos. I really like this photo on the right-hand side of the box, or the page, as well. And so it helps tie. You don't have that huge crevice between the left-hand side and the right-hand side. It just sort of ties things together. And then I know I want to put the title in between there too, so that it almost creates a diagonal line with a nice white space at the top left over there. So you can kind of see that each of these squares here is a slightly different size, to add to the cascading effect, but it ends up being too big. And so I do trim them down a little bit in order to be able to get the overlap that I want as they cascade down the page. So a lot of blue and orange there, which is why I really wanted that yellow tag at the top. And then I do end up pulling a little bit of green. You can see it there. Not a lot, but just there isn't really a lot of green in the collection, but I do have that green strip that goes down the left-hand side, and so want a little something that is going to tie that into the rest of the page there. So that's pretty much the foundation of the page. Now it's just time to go in and throw in the embellishment. Well, not throw, add in the embellishments. So with the box, you get those rub-ons as well as these leaves. They're kind of a felt, a printed felt. It's really cool. So I'm going to use 3 of those so that I end up having that visual triangle that moves your eye through the page. I pulled out one that was really, really a bright red, and it stood out by itself, so it needed something to coordinate with that. Now I know I have these rub-ons. I've used one on the tag already, but I want to put another one in that skinny tag there because I don't need it for a title, and I have the big tag at the bottom left for journaling. I'm going to apologize for my head that you will see pop in here periodically. I'm going back and forth between filming reels and YouTube videos, so between horizontal and vertical, and it just changes my workspace angles, and I'm still trying to remember when I'm filming what, and try and get my big old head out of there. So now I've got the world's tiniest acorns. They're going into the layout as well. And again, I had prepared them previously with the Zotz Blings. Adding a little bit of twine to this shrink plastic tag that I've created. The blings the Zotz don't stick as well to the shrink plastic itself. You have to put it on, you'll see I'll put them on the photo there. There you go. And then push the shrink plastic down into them and they stick perfectly. Whether that'll last in my page, I don't, in the book, in the page protectors, I don't really know. So that is the dies. You can see you have leaves as well as acorns. I have not used them because I've got these other leaves, and I just think it's overkill putting too much. There are a lot of things that come in these boxes, and I try and use as much as I can on one project, but I find it ends up being overkill when you've got just way too many things going on a page. To me, getting the pictures and the story are really the priority. So I did pull in some ivory cardstock from my stash for the belly of this squirrel. He needed that contrast, but the other papers are all B-sides from the collection. And I'm just going to build me a little squirrel there. They are the cutest squirrels. I know you'll see more of that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that for maybe my November cherry on top. The YouTube hop that we do at the beginning of every month. You may even see this collection again or this box. I wouldn't be surprised if I were you. So, yep, squirrel building, and that, I believe, other than adding the ribbon, which to the top of that top left tag, and then the title. So the title are stickers from my stash. I've got some gold stickers that are thickers, and then I have Bliss is those are Simple Stories stickers from the sticker booklets that they have, and so the title will say New Box Bliss because this is a new box for Jasmine. This is my box loving cat. She will live in a box all day long if she can and nap there. So just bringing out the texture in the squirrel tail with a little bit of Distress ink and inking that up. But really that's the only sort of fun addition that I do other than just literally cutting that. I like how the ink really brings that tail to life. Again, I apologize for my head. So there's the little other shrink wrap, shrink plastics, and then I'm going to add a few of the leaves from the thicker, and that is going to wrap it up other than the title and then journaling in the left-hand side. So if you missed my unboxing, be sure to go back a couple of videos and check that out. The close-ups are to follow. You still have until the 25th to subscribe if you are interested in getting this box. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial on the shrink plastics. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave those in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. Come back again soon. Take care.